So, does anyone out there really love John Waters? Somebody? Yeah, I'm talking about the old stuff. Desperate Living, Female Trouble, Pink, Flamingos. What is it that's so great about those movies? I don't know. Yes, they are transgressive, push every taboo. Yes, they are so funny. But I think what it is that no matter how rich or famous John Waters gets, he always maintains this pure-hearted adoration for the seedy side of his own hometown and the complete weirdos who live there. I swear, he just drives around and finds people like the 5-foot-tall bartender with no teeth. Put her in a movie. And always, at the center of everything, his legendary muse, the inimitable drag queen, Divine. You guys know that the two of them met and became friends when they were in high school. And I really think that's what it would take to survive if you were this brilliant freak, to just find like one other kid who could look at you and see that you are wonderful. And then together you can go out and spit in the face of the status quo. And the two of them remained devoted to each other their entire lives, right up until the time of Divine's death. So this is a story about the day that I met John Waters. It was back in 2005. A catastrophic hurricane had just destroyed the city of New Orleans, Louisiana, where I was living at the time, so I was displaced. I was stuck up here staying with some family in Philadelphia, and it was a really crazy time. I was feeling unhinged, I didn't know what to do with myself, and a friend of mine who knew that I was a big John Waters fan suggested that as long as I was in the area, why not drive to Baltimore to make a pilgrimage to the gravesite of Divine? This is a great idea. So, at the time, I also happened to be reading this crazy book called Our Lady of the Flowers by Jean Genet. And this book, coincidentally, even though it was set in the 40s, also happens to feature a drag queen named Divine. So, a gravesite of a drag queen named Divine and a book about a drag queen named Divine had entered my life at exactly the same moment. Guys, I love a good coincidence. There are people who believe that you can achieve a superior reality at moments like this when you take two events that are not linked, such as these, and you link them together. So I decided what I needed to do was get somebody who would dress up in drag and act out scenes from this book on the gravesite of Divine so I could take pictures. Now, at the time, I only had one really good friend in Philadelphia, and she had just started dating this guy. And even though I had only met him one time, I had this sense that he, like myself, was a person with a great appreciation for highbrow cultural experiences. So I called him up and I asked him if he'd be willing to go to Baltimore with me and dress in drag on Divine's grave, and he was like, absolutely. So a couple days later, the two of us drove down there together in the middle of the night, but as soon as we got to Baltimore, we got lost. So we stopped at a Denny's and looked at a map to try to figure it out, and the waiter came over and offered to help. So I said, we're looking for Prospect Hill Park Cemetery. And the waiter says, oh, haven't had anyone around here asking about Divine's grave in a while. So he knew exactly where it was. And after he gives us these excellent directions, he goes, you know, I actually had a bit part in Pecker. So, awesome. We arrive at the cemetery just at sunrise. There's fog hanging low over the ground, and Bill puts on a dress and a wig, and I take the pictures, and is just absolutely perfect. So years later, I'm back in New Orleans, and I hear on the radio that John Waters is in town for a gallery opening. So I gather up all the pictures that I'd taken of Bill, and I rush straight to the gallery because I want to show him. And as soon as I get there, I walk straight up to him, and I say, Mr. Waters, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your work. And he completely blows me off. He's like, and turns away. But I persist. I say, Mr. Waters, I want to tell you how much your work meant to me when I was displaced from New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. Because sometimes you do have to play that card. And so then he had to listen to me. So I said, I told him what we'd done, and I showed him the pictures and the passage from Our Lady of the Flowers, which I memorized, so I'll tell y'all what it said. It said, Divine died yesterday in a pool of her vomited blood. which was so red that as she expired, she had the supreme illusion that that blood was the visible equivalent of a black hole which a gutted violin reveals with dramatic insistence, as does a Jesus, the gilded canker, where gleams his flaming, sacred heart. So John Waters looked at the picture and the passage, and he said, "This is a beautiful thing that you've done." So after all that happened, Bill and I became really good friends, obviously. So I just want to say to him, thanks for being crazy with me. I know John still has your pictures because he thinks they're beautiful, and they are.